We're in open session. Morning.
Start?
Okay.
Yeah.
The light's on.
Oh, yeah. I was having my little nap there.
Thank you.
Well, it's nice to be here with you guys this morning. We wanted to come down and give you a little 6-month review of your health care. I let you kind of know how things were going, so let me just kind of march through this thing fairly quickly. If you have a question, please ask it, and we'll see if we can figure it out. What this is what we kind of call our sold case sheet. This is kind of what everybody agreed to at the beginning of the year. You know, your year's actually January through December, and of course we've now completed 6 months. I think this is a 6-month report. We don't have July in here, but a couple of points I just make on here. Down toward the bottom, your annual fixed cost, you'll see it most of the way down, $117,000 down toward the bottom, I'm sorry. If you go right back up above that, just 3 or 4 lines, you'll see that's figures out $163 a month for your singles and $254 for your families. That's kind of how we get to that number. And then that number right below that says aggregate factors, $276.09, $705. That's kind of an estimate for claims. That's kind of the number that we put out there at the beginning of the year, figuring that your claims that we process on your behalf could amount to that. And if they did, then that number would be $295,000 for the year, plus the $117 affixed for a total of $412,000. Now, if you'll flip the page, this is really small print. I apologize for that. It's hard to read. I can barely read it myself. Okay, goodbye, focals, though. Goodbye, bifocals. What this does is this tracks those claims, and I can read some of these numbers if it's difficult to read, but through June, there's like the 4th or 5th column from the left, says year-to-date loss fund, and you'll see there's $144,684. Those are the dollars that could have been spent through 6 months. Theoretically, if you had a lot of claims, it just kind of tracks that number. Right beside that, it says year-to-date covered claims is $98,000. That's the number that has been spent. So you're actually running very well. You're running about $46,000 better than what we would have thought at the beginning of the year. We usually go into these contracts hoping that you'll spend 80% or better or less, and certainly you're doing that. That $98,000 is much less than 80%. So you haven't had any large claims. If you recall, you have a $25,000 kind of a deductible, if you will. So you only self-fund the first $25,000. If anything went over that, then we have a reinsurance carrier that pays. So if you had a $1 million claim, you still only have $25,000 of liability. You haven't had anything that's well, actually, I take that back. You have had one claim that just did. In fact, if you look at the next page, you had one that just crawled over. In fact, it hasn't even hit this report. This report was run after this other one, but you'll see you had one person that's hit $26,000. We track claims anytime somebody reaches 50% of your $25,000, which of course would be $12,500. They hit this report, so we've got one person that's gone over $12,500 at this point. And so that's very good. That's kind of what we expect in a year's time, that there's usually 1 or 2 people that will go over that. And so ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, you'll pay $25,000 of that $26,000. The reinsurance carrier will pay the other $1,600 in that case, and whatever else might go over that. So things are running well in that respect. Just for comparison's sakes, this is last year's report. And I'll find this number for you, but in June last year, just by comparison, you had spent $90,681, and this year, what we just said, $98,000. So if you found the same point in time on this report, you're actually running very close to last year, and last year was a good year for you as well. So it's, and as you can see, last year, you actually ended the year spending $185,000 out of what the measure last year would have been the $325,000. So you're in very well. Probably the best figure on that is the one right below that. That tells you what your claims cost you on a single-family basis for the year. So your claim cost was $174 for a single, $444 for a family. And the only thing that you would add to that would be that fixed cost we talked about earlier, because this is just a claim dollar. You would add those two together. In fact, if I back you up a page, that same number this year to date is $479 for a family and $187 for a single. So it's running just a teeny bit higher than last year, but not really a whole lot. So, and again, you don't need to flip back, but again, keep in mind we were comparing to a $700 figure and a $276, so we're way below that. So I think everybody will sit around and congratulate themselves for having a good year.
For being healthy.
Yeah, for being healthy, that's right. Drink some more water, exercise more. This next report is what we call a claimant usage by benefit, and it just simply takes the different reasons that people might go to a plan. You'll see kind of an alphabetical listing on the left-hand side, starts with accidents and goes down through to x-rays, and it kind of lumps those together, the dollars that people have spent. And as you look at the columns, you'll see an allowed charge, which is, for example, take the very top column, says accidents, 316 allowed. The plan actually paid 316. And then, of course, there wasn't any deductible or co-insurance paid by your insureds, and it shows an average charge, and then whether the expenses were incurred by the employee or dependent. But the larger ones, those ones kind of jump out. If you go down about halfway, you'll see prescription drugs. Allowed 30, paid 24,000. Co-insurance was 6,100. The deductible and co-insurance are what your people are spending on behalf of themselves. If you look at the totals down to the bottom, you'll see that where the paid by plans, 110,000. At the same time, the plan was paying 110. The employees have spent 12,000 for deductible and 17,000 for co-insurance. So they've spent about, if you added those up, just a little bit more than $29,000 out of their pocket. Just as while we're thinking about this, a quick reminder: if you don't recall, you have a $300 deductible, and then the employees pay. We pay 80%, the employee pays 20%, until that 20% equals $400, and then it's 100% by the plan. So if you people have a maximum out of pocket $700 for a single. That's actually a very rich plan today. I mean, we were just talking about some plans driving in here this morning. There's a lot of plans that deductibles start at $1,000. So, I mean, you guys have maintained a very rich plan over the years, and it's worked well. And you can see your costs here have been good, but you have a very, very rich plan compared to a lot of things that we see. But if you carry those numbers across, again at the bottom, the employees, way at the right-hand side, employees spent $68,000, the independents have spent $42,000 out of that $110,000 spent. So probably nothing really too unusual there either. Not a lot of really shocking numbers in there, as I mentioned earlier. The larger ones are going to be your prescription drugs, your outpatient hospital, which you would expect. You haven't had any big claims or anything that looks too out of line, so those would be pretty typical for most groups. Prescription drugs typically anymore will run about 20% of your plan in terms of dollars. Of course, the outpatient hospital is always a big item because they do so many things outpatient anymore, but you don't actually become admitted. The next would be just what we call, these are what we call ICD-9 codes. It's just the way, it's just the coding that we get from the doctors. In terms of those codes, you'll see drugs were the #1 paid by plan, far right-hand side. Prescription drugs is the #1 reason, again, for dollars being spent. The second reason would be, this would be some heart issues at $20,000. Then we go to dental, it's #3, and a lot of things on here, I have no idea what they are. Maybe, I don't know if you see anything on there that you, but I can find out if you're curious about any of these. But shortness of breath, and there's a lot of things on here. Myopia, carpal tunnel syndrome. This is a top 40, which does represent most of the things that happen in the plan throughout the year. Chest pain, just the things people have.
I think since we've changed our prescription to have 20% deductible and self-doubt, you know, provided they're more cautious what they buy, then
Yeah.
they maintain 100%, you know.
Exactly right, Dave. And people need to have a vested interest in
Right.
what they're paying for or getting.
And it's still a way of review.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a deal.
Good.
It's a very good deal, yeah. In fact, I have a drug report here. We'll look at it in just a second.
Brian finished recruit hub.
This next page, if you want to flip one more, would be your, what we call top providers. It just tells us where the dollars went. And again, if you start at the top, this is the top 40. Kansas Pharmacy Service is your drug card, again, so those dollars went there. Galatia Heart, you'll see, was the number 2 recipient of dollars, almost $20,000. Pratt, number 3, Hutch Hospital, Hutch Clinic, Galatia again, so you can go through there. I see Stafford down here is number 9, Stafford District Hospital. Stafford County is number 12. So you can go through there and see the different places, but again, that's the top 40 places dollars go. And then the last one, this is, you mentioned drugs. We do have a drug report in here. These timelines are a little bit different than what the first report, so the dollars may seem a little bit different, but the thing I draw your attention to is that script information. I think it's that third item down. It says script information, total submitted 52,008. That's kind of that gross price when you walk in. Because of the card, they allowed 29,000, so you do get good discounts in the arrangements they have with the pharmacist. Of that, $29,000 was actually paid in the timeline that we're representing here. But to your point, if you go down to the bottom, it says brand versus generic. Brand costs, and the reason you want people to buy generics, the average brand was $102. The average generic was $20. So these brands are typically 5 to 6 times more expensive than the generic. So, but you do have a good efficiency rate. The item right above that, it says brand versus generic scripts. The very bottom one is a generic efficiency rate, generic dispensing rate right above that. Efficiency rate's 91, almost 92%. Dispensing rate's 53%. Of course, those could always be higher, but hardly ever see those that dispensing rate higher than 60%. And the efficiency rate's hardly ever higher than 93 or 94%. So I think that, again, the fact that people are putting some money out of their own pocket helps them make better decisions than if you just give it to them, they don't have any interest in it. But certainly, it's still a big problem. Drugs are, again, well, in your plan, they represent over 20% of your costs, so it's huge to try to keep people moving in the right direction. And there are more and more generics popping up every day, and a lot of times it's just a matter of them asking their doctor and getting on that track. So, but this other page shows you the top 15 therapeutic classes. There's anti-hypertensive combinations, and then again, proton pump inhibitors are always in the top 4 or 5. Cold allergy, insulin. So there's a lot of pretty common things on there, but nothing too shocking. Then the last page, again, continues to talk about drugs. If you look, what this does is it takes the first 6 months and you have some paid claims. You're running, as you can see, about 80, 90 paid claims a month on drugs. You'll see the dollar amounts. It's that $29,000 total. Average claim, if you look at the year-to-date, is $57. Now you have 100, on average, it says eligible members, you have 112 people. That's counting employees, spouses, children, anybody that could have essentially bought a drug that day. Have an average of 112 any given day that could run out and buy a drug, and on average 35 of them are. So every month, it turns out to be that 31.25% of your group is buying a drug. And that PM in that next column over, that's PM stands for per member per month, for an average cost of $43.93 per member per month. So again, there isn't anything too shocking about those averages. That's pretty much on course with most groups that we see. You'll have, again, 35% utilizing a plan. But all in all, I'd say you're running really well. You're running pretty much a little bit higher than last year, but certainly nothing alarming. You know, a group this size can be a little bit volatile because a large claim or two can kind of skew things, but you haven't had any of those really, anything alarming. And I would say your costs are running well. The only, I'd leave you, I guess, maybe with one thought, and that's, we went back up to this first page, just look at the family fixed costs we talked about, 163,254. And just to do a little mental math, if you took those claim dollars we looked at here, that 187, that 479, that 479 with that 254 would make that family cost just a little over $700, which would be, if you've bought insurance lately, that'd be a really good rate for a family. Yeah, so I'd say the combination of those are what your real cost would be, single family. And anytime you can buy, especially a plan as rich as yours, if you went out in the market and tried to buy a plan for $700, you're probably looking at a $5,000 deductible. So to be able to get a $300 deductible for your people with that kind of money, it's worked really well. So it has for a long time and continues to. So
Yeah, pretty pleased with that. Yeah.
So we did fly through that in a hurry. We did that in 15 minutes.
All right.
You might go get me a drink of water. I'm tired. Did I go through that too fast? I know you guys have a lot on your agenda. I didn't want to bore you too much, but I do appreciate the chance to come down and get a chance to meet with you face to face. And if you do have any questions, and certainly we can go back through anything I may have flew over here too quick for you. You have anything, did we miss anything you think should be covered? Good. Well, the process is that we, you have a January 1 renewal. We usually pay claims, in your case, through October, and then we do our renewal. Then that way we have 10 months of current claim information. We do our renewal in November, and we try to get out with our renewal sometime late November. Hopefully no later than the 1st of December, but it should be late November, so we're 45 days in front of that January 1 renewal date. So if you want to continue meeting with us, we would be here in about that timeline, sometime in late November, probably with a renewal. I would hope the market has been pretty soft, actually, so we would hope maybe going forward we would continue to see, knock on some wood, we've seen really the reinsurance rates have been pretty flat. So we hope that we would have a really good renewal at this point. There wouldn't be a reason not to think that. So.
And who's the carrier on this?
Good question. Unamerica. It's on that first sheet right at the top.
We did talk about one, about Gerber.
Yep. We have about 20 different reinsurance markets that we take groups out to all the time. We're just kind of always turning those. They're usually not household names. Now Gerber would tend to be because people think of it as the baby food company, but Unamerica probably doesn't ring a bell to too many people. But they are good A-plus carriers. The reinsurance market's kind of an unusual market. You don't usually see companies like Prudential or Travelers, or people don't really get in that kind of market. It's combined in Gerber and Unamerica and AUL and different carriers that maybe aren't as recognizable. But they are good carriers financially.
Do you know who they use on the mail order, on prescriptions? Do they do that themselves, or they?
Restat, I believe.
Restat?
Yeah. Kansas Pharmacy, which is out of Topeka, they're called P&K, they use Restat.
Okay. Good. Thank you much.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yep.
You didn't get to say anything.
No, I'm for the later. We're heading to Wichita.
Oh.
So I'm just with him on this.
He's saving himself.
Taking the big guy to Wichita.
That's right, I'm taking the big gun. Right.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Okay, ready? I'm Darla Van Dorn. I'm representing the Stafford County Fair. I'm president. And Brian Dunn, this is Carolyn Dunn, that's her husband. She's the vice president. And she is representing the Golden Belt Foundation. We have spoke within ourselves at the board about new facilities, a new fair building. And we're just coming to you to let you know what we're thinking about doing. We have not met with any supporters yet, but we're planning to. And we do have the foundation to go through with the money in the funnel and also grants. Just lately, it's come up that somebody suggested that we just fix up the facilities we have. We do not know what the cost would be, we don't have any figures, I don't have a book here to show you, I'm sorry. And I didn't find either. We don't really know what we want yet, we do want something new, you know, human nature always wants something bigger and better. Whether or not we can support it or not, we're not sure. And we need to, what we'd like to have is a building that would be usable by the whole county for weddings, things like one with maybe a kitchen in it and a bigger area so that we can move the rest of the agriculture stuff like the flowers and stuff inside, and also full showers and bathrooms. Now we're talking like a lot bigger area than we have right now. But this is kind of, we're on a first planning. We don't really know where we're going yet, but we do know we want to do something. Help me out.
Well, my husband's on the fair board, and he's
Vice
into these things.
And she has been very excellent help, but we do know that we do need to involve the whole different aspects of the county to be able to put in for good grants.
And I've done some grant writing in the past, and I've volunteered to help with that if they'd like. And so a couple of the things that I've seen is that the fair board is not set up as a 501c3, so that really limits the types of grants that we can even apply for. And for example, there are some through the state of Kansas that would really be better suited to a municipality applying for them. So we may be in the future kind of looking to, if you'd be willing to partner with us, if we wanted to apply for a grant through the county, or, you know, we haven't talked to the city of Stafford yet, but we may be looking at something like that, so that the applicable, you know, the eligible applicant would actually be one of the two municipalities that would be relevant here. I think probably a logical next step for us is to set up some type of a planning or a steering committee that can kind of consolidate all of the ideas that people have. And we might ask if you'd be interested in nominating a person to represent the county in that process.
Well, we can buy a frozen pie for you guys.
There you go.
If you have a pie, they'll probably be there.
It's just on the very foreground, but some people have said through the grapevine that there is money available for a new building. I'm not 100% sure of that, but we need to be able to support after we do get a new building. And we're not quite sure where we're gonna go on that either. But, you know, the grant money, and I'm all new at this. I know nothing about this as far as how to do this. That's why I keep looking at people like Carol to help me out. And you guys. But we do need, we would like to have a type of committee where the advisory committee that can give us some ideas from outside. I've already talked to several of the older foundation people in 4-H, and they'd be willing to get in on a committee and help out and just give us ideas. So we're not really asking anything of you,
Right.
we just want to inform
Just
you.
keeping us in the loop. Now, would it be advantage or can you apply for a 501c?
I've got all the information to do it, but I haven't had the time to even start it. And also, Kim Pullman said he'd help me with it, he'd help us do it. We just haven't got the time to do it yet. And I don't know if it'd be advantageous or not.
Yeah. I'm sure there's no doubt advantages to it, but I think we can also work without it. And for example, the Fair Board's talked about using Golden Belt Community Foundation as the financial holding place for the money while we raise funds. And I also sit on that board and will be helping with that. But just as we may, for some grants, look to the city or the county that, for some grants that the municipalities are eligible for, Golden Belt is a 501c3 and can act as a financial conduit. So that may be an avenue that we can use on that side.
But
There is some expense involved in getting that lined up, and if the only reason that they need it is for just this one project, there may be ways to handle it otherwise, but
Because we
we're
are a non-profit organization, and we do have bylaws and all, you know. So we are a real little thing. We just don't know which best way to go, and so that's where we're looking for you guys for advice.
Well, that building, I think, is pretty much used it.
Well, we can look to some other counties that have upgraded their fairground facilities, but also use it year-round for other
Yeah.
things. And I think Rice County is a good example where that's really become an
I think
economic
Edwards
driver
County
for
also.
their area. It's used, I've talked with the person there, and on average, it's used 33 times a month. So it's
I think Pratt
well
County too, I
utilized and
think a
actually.
storm helped Pratt County out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Goes the other way down there.
You know, Edwards County though, I'm from Kinsley, Edwards County, my mom used to be on the board there. I do know the 4-H council could no longer afford it, so they looked to the commissioner, so the commissioners support the fair, help maintain the fairgrounds. Which that's one way we've looked at, we're wanting to find a way that we can support ourselves on this maintenance stuff. That's where the city of Stafford and it's over there comes in at, because Mike Ramsey and several others spoke with people over there, and they said they'd be willing to do anything we can. I spoke with the mayor, Kirkendall, on Friday or Saturday this week. He said anything they can do. But, you know, that's just talk right now.
Right.
But we just, you know, we just don't wanna get in deep and then not be able to get back out. We just, you know, wanna have some guidelines and,
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
would you do?
If not one of you do staff or something like that, that would be a good representative.
He's pretty convenient.
Yeah, he's pretty convenient over at Stafford's.
Well,
So do I
we
put
might
him
need
in
to
as
hear
the-
though,
He's
so.
the man?
I would nominate.
I'll say that.
What kind of pie you like?
Are we gonna vote on that?
You gotta vote on it.
Vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Don't ask for a vote.
Hear the train?
So you're nominated to our committee, that's good. What kind of pie you like?
I'd be happy to serve on
I appreciate that. We just.
coconut cream.
Well, I don't make it, but I can find some. I bet Cleveland's will make some for us.
There you go.
Anything else? We appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Joe.
And good luck.
We will. We'll be in touch.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Nita.
Yep.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Terry.
You're up.
Am I up? Okay.
You're up. Don't know whether we're ready for it, but you're up.
See that?
That's not a word I thought I'd hear.
We might go to the back page first, and then we'll come back to the forward. Very last, I think that's the last page. And I'm quiet about it, yes. There's about 4 or 5 from the last page. It's actually, it's page 34, JD, but it's about 4, there you go, where we have the, what is published in the paper, and that's what shows you what the mill levies are. And what it is, they just sent me the information from the various county departments, county offices, and I just put those numbers in exactly as they were. And this includes a $300,000 transfer out of the general fund. Let me check that. To capital outlay and risk management, and we're still coming out with a mill levy of about 49.4. It's up a little over last year, but not really very much. And still considerably higher than it was, or lower than it was 2 years ago.
What was last year, 40?
Last year was 48.17. Yeah, it's over that same column.
Oh, right here, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it, I see it right here.
Yeah. And then 2 years ago, it was 54.02.
Up to 60s, somewhere for one time.
Oh, yes, yeah, it was, before the oil
One
turned
ball.
around. Yeah, the turnaround in the oil made a lot of difference.
I was surprised the oil went down, they said it was closed the first year, it was
It is what the valuation of the first year is.
$40 stuff in there.
Right. Now, in looking at this, there's some things that, we'll go back to page, actually, the general fund starts on page 7. And Nita, I did make one change. You had transferred money from employee benefits to general in 206, but I'm gonna be showing it 207 as far as the budget and the audit's concerned. Because actually it's 207 when we budgeted to do the transfer.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
It doesn't make any difference, it's just the income's coming in. If you look at that estimated year 2007, see, we start the year with an unencumbered cash balance in the general fund of $1,007,000. Most of the items are fairly what we expect to get down to the employee benefits fund. There's a $514,000 transfer in here. It's about the third number from the bottom of the numbers. And this is because we're closing out the employee benefit fund. These expenses will now be paid out of the general fund. And the other thing, our interest on investments have gone up considerably since 2005. And we've had a big jump in
Interest rates went up pretty good though.
interest rates have gone up. Well, your treasurer is being more aggressive and getting. Last year's, maybe not. Anyway, the interest has gone up considerably. Morning. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, for example, in 2005, we had actual interest income of $80,680, and that's for 2006. That more than doubled to $176,000. And really, I don't see any reason why that's going to change significantly now.
I think the Fed's got to keep everything like it is for a
Yeah.
while. Be pretty well safe with that.
But I think for 2007, we can certainly expect about 175,000 interest, and budgeting for 2008, unless there's a big drop in interest rates, probably have that much again.
Housing market goes off, I think might be looking at, which is starting to, you know.
Right. Local sales tax, it's about a third of the way down the page. Actual revenue in 2006 was $228,800. 216,000 was our 05, so, you know, estimating 200,000 should be fairly close there for 07 and 08. So I guess what I'm saying is I feel pretty comfortable about the revenue numbers that we're showing. Though that's, if you look at the top of that page was an unencumbered cash balance, though, for your 2008 budget, we're projecting right at about $1 million carryover in the general fund. If you go to the next page, then that's where we've got the money spent, and if you look at the top line, you see we have $1,757,000, which is from cash carryover and then non-property tax revenues. These other numbers then, they just came directly off those budget sheets that Nita provided.
Also, we don't believe, but let you take a look at them and see what we need to trim or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed several of these anyway, have some capital outlay expenditures that they were expecting. The county treasurer's office has some capital outlay expenditures in their budget. County clerk's office was down. Employee benefit, that's about almost the middle of the page at $849,000. That's a tough one, but I think that's plenty of money there. Probably won't need that amount.
That's the 849.
$849,000, and that's for health insurance and FICA tax, capers tax that the county pays. I think workman's comp insurance is in that, pretty low. Covers all of those.
Down here on community colleges, we don't pay out-of-district tuition anymore.
Okay,
Can we take that out of there? It's down towards the bottom.
yes, we can take that out. 32,000,
Uh-huh.
okay.
We don't pay it.
Well, it's paid through some grants now or something, but we don't pay anything.
I think the other one had a question on it. I think it was the county attorney diversion.
I wondered about that too. Joe was just in here looking at
Uh-huh.
I don't think that needs to be in there.
That just,
It's what he collects.
yeah, and then he just turns that over to the county general every year.
So I
They
don't,
change
it
that
doesn't
back.
need to be budgeted.
And he doesn't, there's really no expenses that come out of that, okay?
No,
Yeah, those were the two I had
Yeah.
questions.
Where's that?
Diversion,
It's, the version
county
is
attorney.
32,000, right here.
Oh.
They're still on page, well, still the general fund, next page, JD. You know, 32,000, it's about a third of the way down the page. Move that one.
The extension council, that's downstairs.
Yes.
Mhm.
And wasn't there capital outlay in their budget as well?
There's Joe.
Morning. Oh, I'm trying to compose a letter to our neighbor where we're gonna sell them the back their sidewalk, and I'm trying to get a nice overhead so I can show them what we're proposing to give them, and so far, no luck.
did you try to do
We
that?
got two.
Did you try to do that?
Well, we might try that after our official mapping of the site. Doesn't have to produce. In fact, I always scribble on one of these, but it's nice if you can picture the building.
I've got a copy somewhere.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Extension budget.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about it. Oh, right.
Oh, it's in there.
Here it is.
actually, the extension council, looks like we were budgeting for a $10,000 equipment reserve transfer. Wait,
Something about a vehicle or something.
Yeah, we have two different ones,
Yeah.
so we had 12,000.
We submitted the first budget. Here, it's fine.
What was, he left already.
No, you're good.
Are you saying that diversion, the county attorney diversion fund shouldn't be in here?
as expenditure.
As
Right.
expenditure.
Mhm. Yeah. We'll take that one out, we'll take out community college. They want information technology. That one's the one that really kind of surprised me that went up so much. But that was for a lot of computer
We
equipment.
took 2 line items out of the general fund for computer equipment
Okay,
and put it
and put it in
in
there.
that, so it would all be together.
All right,
It made more sense to all of us
Sure.
around here.
sure, okay.
That's why we did that. What was your question?
The 32,000 on the county attorney diversion, shouldn't that be, that shouldn't be in the budget, that's,
What we were doing with that, as I understood, is we were taking that and putting that into the general fund, not leaving it as a separate.
Separate item, that's right.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, that money's all been being deposited now into the general fund, so. If there are any expenses that come out of that money, that,
I've never had a separate item like that.
okay,
So, I don't think there is anything charged against any
Okay.
type of executory contract, anything like that. I just shudder when I see these little special budgetary things.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of putting the general fund unless there's a statute that says you can't.
okay, very good.
I also don't like to handle any money in my office whatsoever,
Mm-hmm,
so there should be no reason for an auditor ever to talk to me.
all right.
Leave me alone.
Well, seriously, that's why you have a treasurer, that's why you have a county clerk, they can spend their lives creating receipts and a paper trail.
And you're right, we went up to talk to your office, and there was nothing there, so we left.
Yes. He'll take that out
I'll
and
take that
community
out.
college.
Right. And I'm taking those out, that gives us about 64,000 that we're taking out. depends on where you want your mill levy. We could either, that would reduce your mill levy by approximately a mill, a little bit less than a mill. Or we could put those up into, we've always used that general administration as a line item that we kind of over budget to provide for any contingencies that might arise. With your mill levy where it is, I would say maybe put that 64,000 in the general administration just to have for contingency expenses. And then if you don't need it, it'll just carry forward and be budgeted for the 2009 budget year. You never lose it.
So it would be better to keep it in there.
Well, I'm thinking
I see
your
what
mill
you're
levy is
saying.
reasonable right now at the 49 mills. I mean, that's,
That's up how much?
a little,
Just,
just about a mill.
I think that 2/3 of a meal or something.
Yeah, it's not that much.
Can we get some revised budgets from Phil and Jason?
they, Jason's gone to a meeting. He could cut 60,000 out of his, he said, because somebody has stepped up and offered to pay for part of the, those defibrillators or whatever he had
Oh, right, yeah.
budgeted for
That's- yeah.
60,000.
Do as we have to have. because it's
Right.
outdated.
I'm not sure if it's St. John or one of the hospital districts had offered to pay for those. So he could cut 60,000 out of his. And Phil's, I thought he would be up here today. I'm not sure what his deal was.
Is that the ambulance? Is that where
Yes.
that's budgeted? Okay.
Yes.
We can get that one here. We might just start going through these
Want to
other
start from the top?
funds, yeah.
I don't know what you guys want to do.
Starting in on page 8, is the road and bridge fund, that's the budget.
It's something worth with fuel costs and road oil costs.
I was gonna say, that one is, you kind of expect to go up with the cost
I
of,
was expecting those two look at the price of road oils.
Who knows
It's
what
went
it'll
up
be
much
like.
more already.
Are they having a lot of extra work this year because of all the wet weather and
Yeah.
everything, or is that?
I think so. I really don't know.
I think it maybe hurts townships a little more than,
Well,
But we've been trying.
of course, your base on these county roads is gonna be affected because of all this moisture.
right.
Because that shows on that Radium Road pretty bad.
So he has a total expenditures for '08 of $1,000,009.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can see our actual '06 expenditures were $1,000,005.
These are the actuals.
Okay,
And then
yeah,
this is what
okay.
the budget is for this year. These are the estimates to this column here. Okay?
The health fund, actually I had to play around with the numbers here a little bit. The important thing on the health fund is that we need to have our tax, our local effort cannot go down or affects funding from the state. So we have to kind of increase that ad valorem tax levy a little bit every year in the health
Keep up with
fund so that we don't lose state monies. know, on the road and bridge, I suspect that that's plenty high. I suspect they're gonna have in 2008 probably some excess funds that they'll be able to transfer into that special machinery or special highway. And those, of course, the special machinery fund particularly, it has a history of building up over a few years, and then they'll have to buy some expensive equipment, and then it goes down, of course, at that point. But as you know, when the road and bridge has to replace some of that equipment, spend a lot of money in a hurry there.
I know we had to mix extra mix this year too.
Mm-hmm. So the health fund is appraiser's cost fund on the following page, page 9. Really, there's not much change between what they budgeted for 07 and 48. It was back down just a little bit, appraiser's cost. I don't know as much we do there. Noxious weed staying fairly level again on, between the last 2 years. And it's certainly, I don't believe, carrying any excess cash amounts there. If they do get, for some reason their expenditures are less than anticipated, they can put money in the noxious weed capital outlay fund there to save up for future equipment purchases. Thanks, man. The ambulance fund, and that's what we were just talking about, that's, that one's gone up significantly. We had actual
What page you said?
That's on page 10.
One more.
But maybe one forward,
Yeah.
top of page 10. That one, expenditures in 2005 were actually 234,000, increased to 249 for 2006. We've got some pretty good increases for 2007 and again for 2008.
Now, this 65,000 in there, you said we take 60 from the
Well,
capital
that
outlay.
was off his original budget that he submitted was 542,000.
Oh, okay.
He has a 3 mil limit.
Right.
So,
And that's where it is a 3 mils.
is that what, okay,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
so,
Okay, so we're back at 3 minutes, 3 mil.
yeah.
His total receipts is,
They've gone up too.
down here.
Well, actually, I've got him at 2.98, so we could jump that up just a little bit to get up to the 3 mils. The solid waste fund, I don't know if there's really anything you're gonna wanna do with that one. We've got some capital outlay budgeted in there for 2007 and 2008.
Keep on them. When the county's gonna trade loaders, you gotta upgrade his.
Okay.
Buy that from the
Road bridge.
road bridge.
Okay. Boy, benefit, that's now being paid through the general fund, so we don't have a budget for that. Services for the elderly, that's just the 55,000 is the amount they requested there, and just, the special alcohol, that's the distribution of alcohol tax from private clubs located in the county, and so that's really, it's non-tax money, and then the emergency 911, that's the tax collected by telephone companies that's in or paid back to the county. So that's non-property tax revenue as well. DARE program, I just put that in case you got a little bit of money from it, from the state. But that one you may or may not have any receipts coming in. Strategic planning, haven't really done anything. I guess the only question I have on this is if you wanted to, there's $1,006 in this fund. If you wanted to close this fund out and transfer it to the county general fund. I don't know that there's any reason to have this separate fund.
Do you know the reason you need it now? It's fine.
Okay.
What was it for?
I really don't know either.
Before
It's been there a long time.
For strategic purposes,
Right.
I guess, huh?
Yes.
It was there, originally this had a tax levy in it, and it was kind of for countywide planning, kind of an economic development type fund is what it was. But there has not been any activity in this account for years, so it's just.
Okay. That's
And economic development, we've already closed that fund out to the general fund. Okay, noxious weed capital outlay, that's just, we just have monies being transferred to this fund from time to time from the noxious weed fund to kind of build up some monies for capital equipment. And you see, it's a non-budgeted fund, and we have about $34,000 into 2006 in this fund.
You say this is a non-budgeted
It's a
fund?
non-budgeted fund, right. Once the money transfers to it, that when the money hits this fund, then it does not have to be budgeted. And it's restricted in use. It can only be used for noxious weed capital outlay expenditures, or it can be actually transferred back to the noxious weed fund if, for some reason, you know, that they run short in that fund. Same with the special machinery fund. Spent some money there in '06, $197,000, and carried over to '07 about $172,000. The appraisal equipment reserve, same type fund. not much money left in it. Okay, special highway improvement, again, that's the same type as another reserve account, non-budgeted. Money there can be used for highway, as the name implies, highway improvements. You can actually buy asphalt and road sand out of this fund if you need to. And that's generally what it's been used for.
Now, is this money put in, I just see there's no interest on these funds. Can they be put in a savings account or something, or are they just?
These, all the interest goes basically into the general fund. This money is being invested as part of the investment policy. It is being invested, but the interest is deposited.
Goes in
recorded
to the general fund.
The special capital improvement fund, it differs from these other reserve accounts in that this fund can be used to buy capital improvements for any project that the county has. So it can be used in the courthouse, basically for any county project. Historically, this money coming into this fund has been transferred from the general fund, which has an excess monies there.
What is this emergency operation plan?
That's another one
Is that-
that's been there a long time, probably should be in the general fund. Yeah, I'd really recommend we transfer that one to the general fund as well, just to get rid of that fund.
Okay.
Emergency operation plan?
Mm-hmm. See, at one point in time, we had a real stringent tax lid law, and so they set out these special little funds that were not subject to the tax lid. That's why we have some of these little funds
Okay.
that law's no longer effective, and therefore this can be easily paid out of the general fund. So
Good old aggregate tax levy lid.
yes. The bioterrorism fund, that's just a grant from the federal and state government.
And emergency preparedness has control on that, or isn't that where those grants went to, emergency preparedness? Doris?
Doris is there.
So that's health department?
Health capital outlay is another reserve account. Risk management reserve fund is another reserve account, and basically this is again a non-budgeted fund. This fund is to provide funds to pay for, basically if there's a lawsuit against the county that you did not have insurance that would cover, that's what this fund was established for, was to provide monies to pay for uninsured losses that the county might incur. The 911 wireless fund, that is same as the 911 fund, except it's used for wireless, fees on wireless for mobile phones. Insurance reserve, again, is a non-budgeted fund. Basically, you take collections come from withholding from employees and from the county, and it's paid out for insurance claims. grant, this is another grant for the health department. Sealed weapons. These are fees basically charged in the sheriff's office for processing people that apply for permits to carry concealed weapons. That's about it. As far as the county is concerned.
Excuse me. You're not back.
It's been pretty good.
You really did came out better than I expected.
Well, when
I
I
found
talked to
out
you
what
on
the
the
numbers
phone-
I
in.
talked to Nate about it, he said, well, he said, oh.
Yeah, your total mill levy, our total valuation's down to about 2.7 million.
Yep.
Yeah, so we had that back in there, we,
Yeah. And we don't know, I don't expect, it could even be up this year, you just don't know what the price of oil is gonna be at the end of the year.
they're saying the next 5 years.
Mhm.
Which I don't like to hear, but they're saying.
Well, from the county standpoint, and JD, I think weren't you here when we had the oil crash?
$8 barrel.
Yeah,
That didn't work good.
they did not. This is a good time for the county to be basically getting everything up into good shape. Because then if we start having some decreases in valuation, we might be able to keep the mill levy fairly steady, although we're gonna have less monies to work with as the valuation decreases.
We was up to 67.
It was over 60 mills for several
It's in
years.
60s, I don't know.
Yes.
Worked on, trying to get that in
So you,
departments.
so you say there's 2.7 million less,
In valuation.
Valuation.
Right.
and that's because of the oil price?
Primarily though, yeah, the oil price would be that would be the big thing that affects your valuation here. Mhm.
They had about 40-some dollars a barrel this year, is that right? Would come in
50.
50.
50, it was 50, yeah, 65 last year, right? It's 50 this year, so.
52.50.
last year.
52.50 last year.
50.
Over 50, you know.
Right.
So we're gonna have to wait for Phil to come in to see what he can
I
cut.
can, you want me to call him?
Well, Jason was here a minute ago, or,
He was on his way to Wichita.
oh,
Who's on what now?
Jason,
Oh, for the ambulance.
yeah, he was on his way to
Well,
Wichita.
we're basically gonna go 3 mills there.
That's all he can do.
So that's all he can do,
Yeah.
right?
So his.
So whatever other financing he needs, he'll need to find it from some other source.
Put a can on the corner.
Oh, you wait to find out on the other, that's
Yeah.
just going through it anyhow right now. What do we have published?
Let's see, where's the calendar? Well, I was planning on making these changes, and I need there's a lot of cemetery districts that,
Oh, they're right
you
here.
got them right, okay? I need to add to this, and probably meeting with you a week from today and go over kind of a final budget, and then you can publish it on the, 5th,
6th.
6th? When's your publication?
It comes out on
on
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Okay? And we have to have 10 days after the publication,
So we can do it on the 20th.
have your budget hearing on the 20th.
So I have to have it in by 10 o'clock on Monday to make it on the following Wednesday's paper. Killed a lot of trees.
Oh, I know. And you just want your budget hearing at 9 o'clock, is that?
That's fine.
Any other questions or comments? Well, it's always nice when you have some good valuation to work with.
Where is the fire department? It falls under,
Okay, it's clear at the back, Clayton, and it is actually a separate, it has a little different valuation. We see, its mill levy right now is projected at 2.15 mils, and it's clear, it's about the third page from the back. Yeah, right there, it's the fire department.
and they're restricted to what?
Basically, we're just budgeting what was in there
From last year?
from well, no, they had a budget for this year, 197,170, and that's what we budgeted. I'm not sure what they are restricted.
Thank you. I thought there was a fire truck or something.
Well, he had,
Well, definitely
his
one of them.
request was 292.
You need it closer, you can go that way.
This will help. This is from Google.
What was it? Did I have the right sheet on that thing? Yes. The appraiser.
It is,
Okay, I've got it here. You know, it sure certainly is. I don't know where I got my numbers from. Okay, let's talk about this one then, and I'm not sure what our mill levy. Okay, no. What I've got budgeted for the fire, that is the maximum they can budget without, under the current tax lid, without having a resolution to increase the amount they budgeted from the year before. So they can levy more money than this, but we'll have to have a resolution by the fire department, by that board, to increase, which I think you also said at the fire department board, to increase the mill levy.
because I know his goal is to, increase, add additional or newer equipment to lower the fire rating of the county.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was a pumping truck or whatever
Okay.
it was.
Right now, the fire department, they've got $198,700 on the next budget page, $198,700 in a fire equipment reserve account. The next one after this one. There it is. Should be the very last.
So they've got this reserve, so they could actually buy it out of that reserve account.
Yeah, they've got $198,000.
So they got money reserve, but every year they transfer it over to reserve, right?
Mhm. So they would have some monies
So he could buy his truck
available.
out of there.
Yes, you could.
That's what they always bought it out of, I think, is that reserve account. They did reserve every year, but build up their money, much like the ambulance reserve.
Right.
And then they'd have money for replacing ambulance.
Is there a separate fund for that, or is that within their fund,
What's this?
the reserve?
There's a separate fund for that.
And this rural fire endowment fund, what is it to be used for?
Well, those are primarily contributions that have come in.
You can use it for anything?
And I think they are probably contributed for equipment purchases, I would suggest.
So we had 25,000 come in one time,
And it's in a CD.
and CD, I think we bought money into it's been a long time ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't remember just what that came about.
This is total, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So this is, the endowment is contributions?
yeah.
And they, okay.
You know, so I suspect that money could be, and I don't know what the details on that are. I suspect that could be used like to buy equipment also for the fire department. That's generally what those endowment monies will be spent for.
Because I noticed on these budget is personal protective equipment. Well, hoses. On his proposed budget, there at the very bottom, or other equipment.
Hose, personal protective equipment,
That's upgrade as it goes along.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
goes up very good as it
Yeah,
goes.
there's reserves every year on that fund, we can
Yeah.
have money in there, and you don't have to get all one leg on one year. Because you have to.
So there is the money, the cash available to do that. You know, we can certainly raise his budget some, but it would take a resolution to do that.
We need to talk to him on that.
Maybe all will be $60 next year.
Might be.
Probably. Wait, it's more right now, 70 some right now.
The oil might go dry and then.
That's true too.
All right. That's the process.
You're on
All right,
the
great.
Okay, thank you. Is this all on need, are we still not missing any?
That's all of them but the two that you guys do, Newlands and I have a note in there, I think it's
Okay.
Pleasant Ridge.
Pleasant Ridge, Pleasant Valley one.
I think so,
Yeah.
there's a note in there, those are all of them that I have.
Okay.
All but, I think, two of them,
Okay,
and I think you guys do the others.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So they should all be
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks,
you're
Frank.
welcome. I'll just see. It'll be 9 o'clock next week. Is that a good time?
Yep.
You'll be here earlier if you want to start earlier than that. Okay.
We open the doors at 8:30, so.
Do you? Well, seriously, if you wanted to start at 8:30, I could be here.
It's up to you.
Okay, let's just say about 8:30 then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Also, I'll be bringing down the audit report next week also, so I'll have it to review with you, so.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Do I need to send you in those letters about following claims we made against the county, et cetera, et cetera?
If there's anything material,
Okay.
right, yes, if it's, yeah, we need to know whether it's material or immaterial claims, but,
I'll get that.
all right, thank you.
Go.
You gotta see the letter I have to send to
Do you
the
have
Ellsworth
anything?
County auditors, runs
Yeah.
out to 5 or 6 pages courtesy of the sheriff's department.
That's one.
Sorry you had to
One
sit
minute.
there that long.
We're having our family planning site visit next Tuesday. The state's gonna come out and review our forms, and they require that I have a job evaluation on file. That's your guys' job. Remember, you did it once. So usually I just leave the form with you, and you guys can do it. and get it
Fill in the
back to me.
blanks.
Yeah, high numbers would be good.
I never.
Yeah. And then tomorrow is are you gonna be there for our family planning advisory panel? Noon at the health department.
Okay.
So I'll just leave that, you guys can work on it.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
I'm glad you reminded me.
Huh?
I'm glad you reminded me, Carl.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do they need to be stamped?
Appreciate that. Come down.
Okay. Do they need to be stamped as received? No. Huh? Reject.
Oh, this is-
Are you gonna put the camera on?
We'll recess, remodel. That's not necessary this time. We don't feel it is. That office was just remodeled. Not
It's-
very many years
It
ago,
was about, I think, 14 years ago.
98.
Okay, 13.
That was remote.
I was told it was 1998.
No, it wasn't 98.
So that and the $5,600, I don't see where you're getting this $5,600 salary increase.
Well, like I have done some research, and I'm the only treasurer in the state of Kansas that gets paid less than the Register of Deeds. So I'm trying, I think this should be evened up. Usually, by the research that I did and that I sent to you guys, all three, usually the clerk, register, usually the treasurer and the clerk get paid the same base salary, and the Register of Deeds, the three of them. And so I feel that it just needs to come in line more compared to the other counties of our size and throughout the rest of the state. We've taken on more responsibility in our office of the bookkeeping, which is, we've transferred responsibilities, which is the way it should be. And so we've taken on a lot more workload and a lot more responsibility on our office on the accounting. And so I'm just looking at comparable things to what the other counties have.
But didn't we do a survey in 2004 of
Yeah,
salaries?
we did.
Yeah, and by that survey in there, it even shows that treasurers and clerks get paid
But you knew
similar.
what this was when you run for the office.
Right.
But
You went ahead.
if we went on this
Yeah.
side right here compared, this is equal, this one here,
Yeah, I looked at
equal
that
sized
one.
counties and basically felt like they were pretty well in line with the other counties at the time.
That one too said that clerk and treasurer are always similar, and even that salary recommended a treasurer increase in that one, because I looked at it. But the fact that we transferred a lot of the responsibilities, you know, we're doing more of the accounting. And
What more accounting are you doing?
Before, most of it was done in the clerk's office with the bookkeeping part, and that has changed. And I feel maybe that might have been why some of this was lopsided way early on. Because we used to just handwrite the receipt in, and then the clerk's office did all the detail. Well, now that has changed. We are doing most of the accounting in our office, and then the double check is in the clerk's office, which is the way it should be. But it really wasn't done that way in the
It
past.
changed with the new accounting system that we're doing.
And this is
Why it
really the
changed.
way this really is the treasurer's responsibility. And I feel in the past that it wasn't conducted that way to a certain extent. And so we have taken on, you know, doing more of the detail of the accounting, and we've learned a lot, and I think we've done real good with it, and then just by the comparisons, I just don't see why you guys have a problem when I show you the comparisons as to the treasurers and the clerks and the register of deed comparisons throughout the rest of the state. Plus, I highlighted the counties that are comparable to our
When
size.
did you do all this research?
When?
Yeah.
It's on the website, on KAC website, that's where I got that. What, I don't know, what is the date of that letter? Was it in March?
Yeah, but I mean, you've done this at home or on county time?
Both,
April.
yeah.
Well, I think what we're looking at, Jenny, I'm just cutting the main thing, we're not yours, but you had a $38,000 increase this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going up quite a bit from 145 to 183
Right.
budget.
Yeah,
So we was looking at allowing a $20,000 increase, and then we're also cutting road and bridge back. They had a $250,000 increase and cut them back to $200,000 to get us back in line where we felt like was last year as far as our whole budget process.
well, we would sure like to remodel the office. My girls are complaining of storage space for their work. I would like to get things so that our office looks orderly and functional. You guys have probably noticed there's just papers everywhere in our office. Everything sits on our desks. Can we just go down? You guys want to come down and look? My girls do not have much workspace on their desks.
Well,
And it's what I'm trying to do. If we do a remodel, I want to do it good enough that hopefully in another 10, 15 years, there wouldn't have to be. I want something that will be functional and good so that the girls have ample workspace, drawer space. They need the drawer space. They need file space. The computers are tucked in a corner. Their posture isn't right because they're turning all the time. I have one lady that's already had carpal tunnel surgery, Lisa Weber. She has problems with her hands and wrists. That I feel it's very important to give our employees a proper working station.
well, also the taxpayers, we don't want to go back out and we're trying to keep our bill maybe in line.
Right,
And our oil
I
prices are down this,
understand.
and oil prices are down this year from what it was last year per barrel. And in order to keep us about the same place so that the taxpayers don't have to go out and dig up more money, is to cut these two areas right here, maybe to get by, maybe the oil price will be up next year where we'll have more income to work with. This year, we're not gonna have as much revenue we had last year. That's kind of my thoughts on the thing.
That's the way I feel it.
We gotta keep it in line.
Yeah.
So you think $10,000? I mean, I'm taking most of the expense out of my motor vehicle operating budget. I mean, I think I was being very fair with the county general budget and not levying too much tax, just for that reason.
38 went up from 145 to 100. You're looking at 183 this year request. That's a pretty good sized jump, and the others have pretty well stayed in line. That's why we're still.
And the other jump is because of the books that I would like to take to the salt mines. I'd like for you guys to come back and look at my vault. This is, again, I'm trying to play some catch up here too. These are things that should have been done on a routine basis. So this initial thing of the initial expense of getting set up to taking the books to
So
the
maybe we
salt
can't do it.
mines.
Maybe we can't do it all at once. That's my thoughts. Maybe we'll have to.
Maybe we have to do this step
Maybe
at
we
a
can do
time.
take the storage, take your stuff to the salt mine. You said that's rent is $2,000 a year.
Mhm.
And it's gonna
Yeah,
cost,
the initial expense is gonna be getting everything logged in and booked in down there.
So maybe if we do that, then it'll free up some space to where, you can take the stuff out of your office and free up some space in your office.
Now, the stuff that's on my girls' desk, that's stuff that they use all the time. They just need storage space, a place to put their decals, their memos, it's all items that are, so it isn't like, they would clean off their desks if we would clean out the vault. I understand what you're saying, but,
I don't feel we can do this, all of this in one year. It's just not gonna work.
Because their valuation is down 2.7 million. And we can't, I can't vote for an increase in mill levy. I think we should either hold the mill levy at its present state or even try to reduce it. And I know that there's going to be some hard feelings, but it's taxpayers' money, and
exactly.
This is
I
what
respect that very much.
We are supposed to be trying to do the best for the taxpayers as far as what you're spending, that's
Right.
that's our thoughts.
And I always have that in mind too. There's a lot of things that I try to do myself and don't charge for it, so.
so your
Okay.
your vehicle operating fund is money that comes from the state.
It's money, it's non-levy money, yes. It's, in tag renewals, we get a portion of that. And I budgeted for some of that last year, and I let you commissioners know last year that I was planning on this. So it's not like my remodel job is, because I discussed that last year at budget time with you too. So we knew that was coming. Because I have been planning for that. And I budgeted $20,000 out of my motor vehicle operating for the 07 year and $20,000 for the 08 year. And then I thought 10,000 out of the county general fund would be fair. I'd be taking 40,000 out of my motor vehicle operating and 10,000 just out of the levy tax. And I think that's very fair.
So you're looking at a $50,000 remodel?
I'm just estimating, but yeah, I don't know. I hope it wouldn't be that much. I mean, you don't know until you really start getting estimates in. If we were gonna cut anything, I would prefer we cut the salt mine, project.
But you gotta make room in the back room. So really, you really need to, you need to store those tax rolls, right?
It would be nice, but I think my employees need better working space. I think that's more important at this time. With the tax rolls, I'm just trying to get those organized and up to date. But that's something that should have been done for the last 50 years, if you ask me, and it hasn't. That's always one of those things that people have the attitude, I'll let the next treasurer take care of it.
Basement full of stuff like
And this is the treasurer that wants to do it. Or else I could say the same thing, I'll let the next treasurer do it. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do. And it is my responsibility to keep the tax records well organized and well preserved. So I am trying to fulfill that.
What's your pleasure here, fellas?
I have one other question, Lisa, on the $1,500 tuition, what's that? Education and training?
Yeah, I indicated that we would probably, I would like to do some training in, like on spreadsheets
Mm-hmm.
and Microsoft Word database merging. for when we send out letters to oil and gas companies.
So that's for office staff?
Yes.
And then you had $1,500 for meeting and travel.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason I have Microsoft Excel Office Works.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
So
If I would need to send them out of town.
okay, so combined that'd be 3,000.
Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't come up to that much, but, you know, we could probably cut that a little bit. That's probably way over, but I have no idea how much. You know, it depends if I gotta go through a college or if I can find a seminar. If I go through a college, it'll be pretty costly. But I do know Tara Kinnaman teaches those here.
Hey, John, what these, the need, Zimmerman, the need for part-time or for your office part-time? Can he help you on training?
On this, no, he doesn't do that.
I still think we need to take the 18,000 there.
Well, I said on those two, I think road bridge too, I want
Yeah, I think we need those two out.
this year, what, I think it's been 200,000 increase, but I think probably the increased prices and stuff would be all right, not putting too far. Keep the mill levy about the same. Should be about 60,000.
So that's what I would say. Out of those two, bring that back towards.
Does that back up to it and see what it looks like then? Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, tell me what you're wanting to do.
We're taking $18,000 out of your budget.
Lowering it down to 20, increase, and lowering those down 200.
Okay, and what are you decreasing?
The office remodel and your salary.
Okay, is there a reason why you don't think I should have competitive pay like other treasurers in the county? I mean, is there something that I've done?
No.
No,
Is
it's
there
not.
something
It's just
that I'm
that
not
it's-
doing?
It's the tax money right now. We just can't have it.
Well, I think that fair work, I mean, we all want to get paid what we're supposed to get paid.
Again, I go back, you knew what the salary was.
Yes, I did, Lee.
Did
And
you know what the clerk's salary was?
Yes, but I've worked in the treasurer's office, and I know the treasurer's office, and that's where I wanted to work. I did think about running for county clerk, but that, the three of you get paid the same. Have you done the research? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you
I
understand
got
what I'm
this,
saying?
I have this here, and.
Hey Clayton, before you leave, run over here a minute.
Okay. Right now, you're at 38,000, with a 5,000 increase would make you, what, 43? Right? Which would put you 4 over the register of deeds, and you'd be less than the county clerk. I don't know, it seems like quite a big jump, you know, in 1 year, as far as salary increases, so. And we have 3%.
You know, I've worked for 18 years in the treasurer's office. I know the office inside and out, and this is, no offense, Nita, she came in, didn't know fresh, and I have experience. I mean, my experience should speak for a lot of it too.
It can't happen this year, let's put it that way.
And I do know the previous treasurer asked for raises too, and she never got them. And I don't know why the clerk and the register of deeds got raises and not the treasurer years ago, back when this happened.
I don't know either, I can't answer that. I don't know how, it got out of balance last year, but we can't balance it in 1 year.
Look, is there anything that you can do? I mean, I mean,
I would look, when salary comes up again, we can address it then when we have our, we'll figure the cost of living increases, et cetera. That's when we always address the salary issue anyhow, usually.
Yeah.
That's what we can do. I don't think we need to put it in the budget, you know, for '08. But I mean, we have the ability to adjust salaries, but I think at the present time, you know, faced with taxes and so on and so forth, I think it's a very good idea that we hold the line.
that's fine.
And I think, you know, in your budget, where'd it go? If we make those adjustments, you still have a $20,000 increase in your office budget. But I can't stress it more than what I have. I think we really, it's incumbent upon our, as far as the whole courthouse, is to hold prices in line. And, you know, once we get the final budgets and they get approved, and then we can do some adjustments. But I think we have a lot of people looking at us right now, wondering what's.
I've always been very frugal in my office, always.
So, I mean, we can do adjustments.
Okay.
But I think as soon as we get this to the auditor and back, and we get this thing resolved and out of the way, and then we can go on about our business.
But I do want to stress, I know the importance of taxpayer dollars. I've worked here for 18 years.
Yeah, well, I understand.
Thank you.
I'll make motion to adjourn.
Wait, Jaron, I second that motion.
We are adjourned.